Thank you all. Thank you all for listening. Oh. Thanks. 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 Okay.
Wish you the best, Joe. Have a great town meeting.
But there's one name that has been conspicuously absent, and that is the presumptive Democratic nominee, Joe Biden.
Yeah, where is he? He hasn't come out with anything. He hasn't come out with new proposals. He called on Trump to invoke the Defense Production Act. 9 minutes later, Trump invoked the Defense Production Act.
And that's it. That's all we've heard.
That's the last time I heard from Joe. What's he doing? Where's his leadership? Where's his this is actually what I was saying, where I thought that he would benefit from this crisis, because I thought he would learn the lesson from 2008 with Barack Obama, where Obama came to Washington, coordinated the response. He looked really presidential. It was this big show of like, okay, this guy could lead the country through the financial crisis. Joe is nowhere. I mean, he should be holding daily press conferences and acting like a president if he actually wants to be the leader through a crisis like this. There's been no economic stimulus reception. He hasn't put out his plan. All he's come out was the same mealy-mouthed, like paid sick leave and loans or whatever. Nothing really meeting the moment. I mean, this is a time where he could significantly outflank Trump and the corporate Democratic leadership if he wanted, try and poise himself as the next FDR, but he can't do that, can he? Right?
I'm sorry for the technical difficulty for all those folks on the line. Guys, I think you're fortunate to have such incredible senators like President Tammy Duckworth and Dick.
As far as I can tell, the 2020 election cycle's already over, and I gotta be honest, I don't think anyone even wants to watch this video about Joe Biden because we've got other more important things to deal with. But let's be honest, there's supposed to be a presidential election happening. Several of the Democratic primaries have already been postponed. For all intents and purposes, Joe Biden is the nominee. But now people are curious, where is Joe Biden? He's gone. Last week, he did a digital town hall that fell apart. He muttered and rambled and walked off camera, had no idea what was happening. And apparently, they've been talking about having him do virtual addresses to the nation to talk about what's happening, but they can't quite figure out how to work the dadgum internet. I'm not exaggerating. That's basically the issue. They're trying to figure out how to do teleconferencing. They don't know how.
Dr. Murtha, he was a Surgeon General. Positions and one of a number of experts on my team, and I want to thank you. And Doctor, maybe you can have if we can transfer to you, we can say a few words.
Thank you so much, Vice President. I want to thank you for.
Talk to me about what Joe Biden is saying to the public about his lack of communication at this time.
So, I mean, not much. He had that call with reporters, and what they're saying is, man, they're really working behind the scenes, and they're looking into some sort of tech. Like, there's one of, like, little computers or something. We're looking into these, and maybe there's a program, and I hear Periscope is a thing, and maybe at some point we'll be able to take some questions and talk to people. Like, he said it's above his pay grade. He wants to be president, by the way. It's above his pay grade to figure out a way to speak to people.
We're going to take our first question from Chris Broxson. Chris, you are live.
Mr. Biden's speech was garbled the entire time.
But we are unavoidably in a global crisis right now. All of us, whether you're American or not, we're all dealing with it. And the fact of the matter is, Joe Biden is invisible. Where is Joe Biden, guys? Where is Joe Biden? We don't know. Maybe Joe doesn't know where Joe is. Nobody knows. And that's a huge issue.
We appreciate you bearing with our technical difficulties. We're going to take the next question from Fannie Moy. Fanny seems to have dropped. We're going to take the next question from Georgia Johnson. Georgia, you are live in just 1 second.
So if he thinks he can just sit back and watch this all unfold and we're just going to hand him the keys to the car, not happening.
Ain't gonna happen, Joe. And the poll numbers reflect that. Your lack of energy and your lack of ability to show vigor in this situation matters a lot. Trump's approval ratings are going up, and you know what we've always heard about Joe Biden? You've heard this too. He's kind of lazy. Doesn't actually like to work that hard. Didn't like to do a lot of events. Didn't like to do a lot of campaigns. Didn't work hard for it in the early beginning of this race. Felt very entitled. Somehow he stumbled his way into becoming the presumptive Democratic nominee.
Who was it that said it was an accident of history?
Yeah, it is an accident.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said that, but it's a total accident.
Totally
of history.
true.
And
it was Don Calloway.
Yeah, probably. He's not rising to the moment, and that's how you lose an election.
Georgia's on mute.
Georgia, you're live.
Oh, okay. Well, one of my questions was, as far as Joe Biden is concerned, what exactly will he do to accommodate those of us who are Bernie Sanders supporters? If we're going to turn from Bernie to him, what is he going to do to satisfy us?
Am I live? Can I respond? Well, first of all, Bernie and I are friends and a lot in common.
So what's happening here is it's taking the feedback from the audio and it's looping.
We all know why. We all know why that Joe Biden's missing. He clearly has dementia. He clearly is not fit to lead. He's clearly not fit to give an address for a long period of time without stumbling over his words or whatever. So we are in a very shitty position right now because Joe Biden's his lack of mental preparedness to be president is why we must defeat him. We must find a way to pull this back.
We are going to take a question right now from Deanna Payne. Deanna, you are unmuted.
Am I on camera?
If you want to win this election, I underlined this yesterday, you cannot just hide in a bunker, Joe. You cannot just hide out in Wilmington, Delaware. You can't just give 7-minute press conferences once a week. You can't just stare into a camera in one live stream and then walk off the side of it in another. That's not good enough. You need to be ever present, showing that you are a credible alternative to the current president. You have not done so yet.
And I can get it done. I can get it done quickly, and people will be covered. But even I can't do that for another a year between now and November, or actually January. But to be covered.
We're going to take a question now from Maureen Jenkins. Maureen, you are unmuted. Maureen.
Maureen, are you there?
It is absurdly pathetic, and that it says everything that this is the guy with no ideas, completely unable, not up to the job at the moment, that this is the person that they threw all in behind to do anything that they could to prop up in order to stop Bernie Sanders' success at all.
Well, that's what's shocking to me is that, again, like we talked about yesterday, he's not coming out and doing anything. He's not holding speeches. He's sending these lame tweets, which are behind you can track it 7 days behind the discussion. Right. It's
next week he'll be like, maybe we should send $1,000 cash payment out.
Right. Yeah,
where were you? Mitt Romney was on this 10 days ago.
Exactly. Literally. So Trump is outdoing him every step of the way. Trump's approval rating is up by 10 points in terms of how he's handling the crisis. It's only going to go up if he invokes the Defense Production Act and start. If he goes after Richard Burr, forget about it, okay? Like, seriously, I mean, if he sets up the anti-corruption standard, puts trillions of dollars into the economy, shows some real crisis leadership, buys ventilators at cut rates in order to give them to states, and coordinate the federal response, it's over for Biden. It's never going to happen, because Biden's whole case was that he could at least competently manage this. But now you're seeing that the competent management is just corporatism in a disguise.
Which means that they can't build any factories or anything within 1 mile of the estuary of the Delaware River and the Atlantic Ocean and the Chesapeake. And so the whole point of this is that we can do a lot to deal with endangered species. And one of the things I would like to raise is that we have to deal with this on an international basis as well. Because right now, for example, we have a thing, Brazil has the Amazon is burning because they're trying to clear the Amazon in order to make money in agriculture.